Do or do not, there is no try. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ASL. Thursday means we've got double action for you as well. I'm your host, AR. Joining me, as always, is the fantastic, the witty Ultradism to cast the hottest action, the future of esports here today.
Megastars in the making. This is your stage. The stage being set, and a big stage yet to come as we head towards AGC. Week number 2 kicks off right now. We got to see lots of action. 4 lobbies yesterday as we started the Open Division and moved on to Premier Division. We're back to the Open Division here today, but that does not mean the skills has gone anywhere. A new season, Fortnite, of new season of Fortnite featuring Star Wars. And AR, you opened up with a lovely bit of trivia, nice quotes there from the masterful Yoda, and we have seen that these guys, as young as they are, have still really sunk into that Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I mean, with the massive change that it is, all ammo types, all ammo crates disappeared from the Fortnite island. It's now in a galaxy far, far away, leaving us only with those blasters that these players have to deal with. That and a couple of grenades to go ahead and deal a bit of damage. Of course, those chug jugs as well, just to top themselves off. But we've seen these players go ahead now out and sort of get into the groove of this new season. Again, over the past day or so, we did mention that it is a massive learning curve for this season alone.
Yep, learning curve, but it seems season by season, these youngsters, they go on TikTok, they learn all the little secrets, they hunt down the bosses that are there with the ability to teach you all the lovely force powers. We got 3 of those up for grabs. We've already gotten to see the force throw of being able to get Darth Vader's lightsaber, toss it out, and then bring it back even through builds, and people are using that to try and finish off a low HP enemy who's trying to take cover. We have yet to see the force push, which seems a little underwhelming waiting to see that. And Naori actually brought up a very interesting use for that yesterday. It pushes everything in front of you, including your teammates. So I'd love to see someone, you know, if you get knocked down in the storm, you get to push them back towards safety, something like that. It has had all the fall damage removed from it, so it doesn't give you the option to just casually bump someone off their builds. But the one we're so excited to see, AR, is that Force Lightning. Emperor Palpatine himself bestowing unlimited power on these youngsters. I really want to get to see one of those kills, so keep an eye out. But like you say, so much added to this season, and most importantly for me, so much taken out. All those old classic weapons that people were relying on and have shown to be really the key to the gameplay, now gone.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also bringing in something that we don't get to see that often over here in ASL due to the tournament rules, and that is that we have a marksman rifle in the game right now, meaning that we have that long-range battles going at it. We can see it one more time. We can go ahead and see these guys from range on top of mountains, beaming down low to go ahead and just beam each other. But Battle Bus, you hear the Star Wars music. I'm just a little sad that it's not a Star Wars themed bus. I'm just gonna say that would have been cool.
I know, right? Changing it into like an Imperial Star Destroyer or something to fly over the map. But there is so much. If you guys have not gotten to see the new Fortnite map, there's a whole bunch of new POIs. We got to see yesterday one of the AT-ATs kind of tied down on top of one of the mountains scattered around here. There's just so much for anyone who's a fan of the series. And right now, if you're not a fan of Star Wars, don't worry. It's the Fortnite that you're here to see, and these youngsters have always put on a show. This is the 4th year, of course, of ASL. If this is maybe the first time you've ever heard about it, yes, school leagues building up towards an actual in-person LAN. The best part about that LAN, pros also going to be there, and they get to meet their heroes. You get to see a slightly smaller lobby for the day and give some space, but this 4th quarter base, that was something that the Premier Division certainly showed was a hot spot for dropping.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I myself have found some hot spots as well. Not hot spots, but probably one of the best landing spots that you can actually find. And it's dead center of the map. There's some AT-ATs just laying there. You can go ahead and interact with it. And it fires the cannon to a hidden cave with some chests in there, a lot of slurps. It's a lot of cool stuff. And it's nice to see that Fortnite's still keeping the hidden aspects from previous seasons. Now, if Fortnite's not your cup of tea, don't you worry. We will have some Valorant action later as well. Like I said, we're doing 2 different games over here today. But for now, the lasers are blasting at each other, and we see an early knock go down. Actually, a couple early knocks in that kill feed as well. Ghost Slayer gonna go ahead and take down Killer, and then the confirm coming through. Alt, these weapons are so powerful. The only sort of balancing with it is that overheating aspect, but it seems like it doesn't even matter that the gun's overheating when it's in the hands of these players.
Well, Flace Palace picks up that first kill, and again, off that back of it, like you say, that overheating mechanic is something that's new to the game. You don't have to worry about collecting ammo, but if you overutilize, if you overspray, you might be caught in a bad position. 5-second cooldown on that means that you have a long time, and so we've seen people running much more diverse loadouts, you know, keeping 3, 4, sometimes even 5 weapons if they can't get any heals behind them, just so that they've constantly got the ability. Even people running something like double sniper or a couple of longer range assault rifles, even the SMGs, to give you that ability to burn through a build and still then swap to something to start chewing out. And I mean, one of the big things about this, the fire rate that can come out, and there's no Stormtrooper aim coming out right now. Chubby picks up a nice knock, confirms it quickly on slow bathroom, and our second team eliminated.
You know, every single time I see these guns in action and I think, ooh, that's the meta right there. That's the guns you want to be getting. I watch ASL and it makes me think completely different again, because they use the weapons that everyone else says, it's not that good. And they manage to get no recoil, a couple eliminations with it, winning an entire lobby, and unfortunately Mr. Above Average over there went to go thirst that elimination, but No Life did go ahead and counter that for just a second. Still has Minty and Solo Spectre to go ahead, and I mean, these are obviously names that we know from the past. We've seen these guys dominate lobbies. We've seen them have a 30 kill game before with a victory royale. Can they do it here again in the Star Wars season?
I mean, if anyone ever could, it would be these guys. The Anka, the school that won at LAN last year, and it's exactly the same trio coming out there. The competitive experience has given these guys the edge, and it's given them such a nice strategy to work on. This is a team that is known for consistent aggression, not just into a fight. They're not hesitating when they charge down a team, but once they've eliminated the opponent's squad, they're immediately on to the next target. So they're going to have to take a little bit of time to just try to get that teammate back in nice and early. Plenty of reboot vans around. But once they're back at full strength, once they're feeling comfortable, they are a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Anka just might be Mandalorians. Weapons in this game are their religion, in fact, as they will go through every single person that they come across. But that's not the scary part. The scary part is that they, just like the Mandalorian, they're hunting you down to get that kills. They're not wasting time looting or farming materials or shooting at your teammates. No shade thrown, but they are hunting actively. They know exactly what their game plan is. They have this set strategy. Land at this point, rotate to this next place, then that one, then this one, then that one. And through all of that, they walk away with those 20 bombs that we love to see.
Oh, it's huge. What's the point of looting chests or hammering down a tree when you can just pick up the loot scattered around after an elimination? Much more effective way to go through it. But they're not the only ones in the lobby. 12 teams in total still alive right now, and I like to see a team doing this. Efficiency from No Life, going to be able to get up those mats, and we talk about the investments and how important they are for these squads. You do not want to get to the end zone having burnt all your mats, and this is definitely the safer option, because remember, both kills and placements get you points. And I mean, when you get towards that end zone, even if it's just a single person left, you need to have the meds to be able to go into heal, keep yourself topped up. Even if you're a full trio, you want to make sure that you're going in with the numbers advantage towards any stragglers that are coming out. You can pick up those kills later.
I mean, we talk about that numbers advantage also, but we literally saw yesterday duos winning the games as well. That's the scary part about it, is that there might not be a numbers advantage for this season. I mean, yes, you go ahead and have more firepower as you see Khalid getting shot from every single angle, but I mean, when a duo just dominates by playing patiently and they win the game, I mean, kills and placements matter to your points as well. That's an important thing. It's not all about the bloodbath that you leave behind you. It's also about how well you're doing. And I mean, speaking of doing well, Minty just confirmed another kill in that kill feed.
Oh, and this is a big part about how well you're doing. It doesn't matter how many people, that's all just tools in your arsenal. Whatever equipment you can get will help you, but it's about your synergy as a squad. And obviously, having 2 or 3 people to work with gives you these alternate angles, gives you ability to flex around on your opponents and surround them, eliminating targets sequentially in these engagements. We see a big heated close range battle right now. Minty put under pressure, gets a nice bit of high ground, starts hammering down damage, puts on a nice build to stop their opponent, and immediately rotates around the side to get the edit, sends the shotgun blast going. It doesn't collect one. The second one certainly finds his back, fighting 2 people, gets the knock on No Mercy. Gonna try and confirm that quickly, but instead decides the person who's still standing, and he picks up the second 1v2, and this man has proven why he comes from the top team in SA.
If there was anyone to show no mercy, it was Minty right there. Beautiful shotgun shots. And the thing that surprises me the most is how these guys get so used to these weapons so quickly. As Objective with that shotgun does connect for around 60, but gets taken down as well. No life right now, trying to go ahead and clamber all the way up. Gonna get that confirmed. Beautifully done. I do believe that's the medallion that did drop. Yes, it is. It's the medallion that goes ahead and allows for your weapons to cool down faster, to not overheat as much, putting you back in the fight. Doesn't do it too much, not very overpowered is that medallion, but still is going to be very helpful if you do manage to pick it up for certain weapons, like the SMG perhaps, that has that high fire rate and high damage at the same time. You're going to want to have that, but looks like no life right now. The squad trying to spot out where the others may be, dropping down now and just checking surroundings. You can never be too safe, and sure enough, there's the last player. There's that shotgun shot. There's the cleanup from No Life.
Oh, again, these guys, not a team that we're so used to seeing, but they're making an impact into this game right now. Going back in, we've got the full trio back up and running. Solo Spectre, Mr. Above Average, and Minty. They're coming through. They've got the heals to now threaten the outside of the zone. Shots go out. First one takes it down. 63. The second shot is more than enough. And while No Life was looking to make a really nice foray into the rest of the lobby, they are immediately eliminated. And by none other than Danka.
No Life has no life there anymore. It was clearly drained by Mr. Above Average, who's now trying to take that high ground, just like Anakin. But now getting caught up by that tree. Unfortunately, we'll have to drop down. There's another knock from Solo Spectre. There's just one left for the squad. And this is what we talk about, all the hunger in the eyes of Dianca as they try to find and chase down that last player, because they want that KP. They know they don't need as much KP as they get, but they want it all the minute they drop on this island.
As much as they wanted to clean up this team, though, No Life is still technically alive. It was only Sway that went down. Objective Eye slowly ticking out, and the last member alive still, yet to be able to claim those reboot cards as they would like to. There's still some time to get back into it, and hiding in the bushes. Gonna have to play this long. Pixel and DJ Fishy Plays, again, names that we've gotten to see a little bit more. Just a quiet start to the game and forced into a bit of a predicament, taking shelter in this train tunnel deep in the storm. Thankfully, it is still, of course, early, so the ticks are going to be delayed in terms of their efficacy. Has the time to loot up, get whatever they need, and then make a rotation around. Everyone else starting to head towards Crime City and the rest of that circle of clouds that seems to be the looming endpoint for this match.
Yeah, Flace seems to have, I believe that's Darth Vader's lightsaber, and just wondering right now if there's the Force on that as well. Did you kill Vader for that, or did you kill the person who killed Vader for that? I mean, it's always good to see the Force in action, especially when it's the lightsaber throw. It does so much wonders to taking out an opponent's build, especially if you go ahead and angle yourself correctly. You can hit the player with the lightsaber swinging back to you with that Force. It's absolutely insane. Still, I will still say the most powerful one this season is the Force Lightning, and I'm a little bit sad that we don't get to see it that much. There is that chance, of course, to find it on the map, to find the hologram that'll train you and give you the Force, but Lucid right now forcefully keeping opponents at bay. That was a 48 headshot with this LMG. Manages to crack that player at the gas station, and now getting shot at. We'll go ahead and top up that shields with that big pot. Dujo medkit in hand as well. not the best weaponry for the long fight, thus leaving it to the players. I mean, we see the marksman in hand of Koi over here, and the assault rifle with the scope as well, trying to beam that player, moving to the house, but does not hit a shot on that player whatsoever as the zone shrinks and moves one more time.
That's the big thing about these heat weapons. You don't have to worry about wasting your ammo for these random engagements. You can blast through and just swap to another weapon, let that recharge in the backpack. Instead, you can just try and get those early picks, those early little bits of chunks of damage that allow you to then press the advantage. But trading out blows is obviously your opponents want to do the same thing. Bit of a scramble here on the edge of the zone. Ghost Slayer can't get that HP back up. Everyone's got all the shield sustain that they could ever want. Once you take that damage, it's basically permanent. They need to try and close this fight out as Space by Lace, trying to get into a nice close range, editing through there, trying to control the map. Decides to take a jump down to find their opponents. Pins them in on one side. There's there's the implosion grenade that we talk about. Able to do so much damage to builds, but sometimes it comes out the detriment towards yourself. Matthew, the last one alive, and now faces a full trio, turning their attention to the lone survivor. Gets above, takes a little bit of damage on the way up, and looking to just try and escape, trying to isolate these fights into one-on-one engagements. Shotgun blast coming around from every angle as he skirts, pushed up against the zone, doesn't have any time to try and get even one of those small minis off, and eventually does go down. It's going to be Mincy credited with that kill. That's actually the third party now starting to engage.
I mean, that was an imploder grenade with the force push. I don't know if you noticed that, Alt. You love to see it as Mr. Above Average right now, swinging around the box with a lot of damage over there. And the awareness to look left and go ahead, get another player. That's the last of no life that does get eliminated over there in the distance. And, I mean, Solo now just looking at the other players as well. Lightsaber in hand, and this one does not have the force available on it, meaning not much mobility, no double jump with it, and it's pretty much just there to go ahead, block some lasers that are firing your way or look good at any convention. Not going to actually have any magical powers to go ahead with it. Meanwhile, DJ Fishy Plays does get revived over there. That was our duo that was in the storm in that tunnel as well. Good to see that they've managed to get themselves back into the fray. This was the winners. This was the winners of yesterday's first open game. So they clearly should not be underestimated whatsoever. They have the capabilities to go ahead and win games. So we should be keeping an eye on them as well.
Yeah, I must admit, when a duo can make that much impact, they show themselves to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, it's great. Oh, now we get to see the purple lightsaber, not one that we've seen very often out here. And I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that's Mace Windows. Yeah, indeed. Doesn't need it, though. Just goes back to the old favorites. The guns from a distance. A nice balance between the fire rates and the accuracy here. And manages to clean up that kill. Nice tracking. It's something that we've got to respect for the parents, for the teachers, the people who don't play a lot of online games but are here to support the important people in their life. Something that Naori was talking about yesterday is how impressive it is that these kids are playing on ping, on this latency of the international servers, that they can still track even with the delay. And I mean, look at this. This is just corralling your opponents. 200 IQ plays, a single person with the audacity to lay in the shots against a full trio below them.
Yeah, and now getting pushed as well. There was the force push from the Mace Windu lightsaber, and now the swings come through, and I mean, a 150 damage is just going to go ahead and knock your head clean off. That's back to the lobby as Mutual Card gets that second elimination with that lightsaber.
I mean, that's something that we have seen a lot of people going for. It's kind of a high risk, high reward. You close the distance, and it's such a nice way to change up the gameplay. We've seen people with only green weapons in their inventory, and they've still got that option to pull out the lightsaber and take a duel, but you're committing to the fight. At that stage, you're going, okay, we've got to now make this count, because if they've got a shotgun, if they're building around us, there is the potential for them to clean you off, and certainly running into multiple people is very difficult. But the ability to hunt down a solo player left like that, with the speed boosts, with the double jumps that you get, I mean, they are really utilizing these lightsabers and all the associated buffs so well.
Yeah, and we're down to 6 teams left as well. Of course, a smaller lobby here today, but Still, this is usually what we see, the final few zones, and we have like 6 teams all dashing towards the safety of it. We see a team that may have taken that launch pad or maybe a wind sprite to go ahead and get all the way west. And all the rest of the teams just pushing in through the storm right now as we spectate Jaffe, who has a pretty good inventory, has that that legendary assault rifle. You know, it can put a lot of damage out there if you can manage to keep your aim good enough. A floating shotgun, apparently. Yes. We're using the force right there to control that shotgun. No need to hold on to it whatsoever. These guys are sitting good on materials, but I mean, at this point in the game, it's this late, and you don't have a single bit of KP to your name, to your team's name. Like, what have you been doing the entire time? Yes, you can play for placement points, but you need some KP as well. As much as placement points are going to give you points, when there's other teams out there that's getting like 7 kills in the early game, you're going to need to counter that with your own kills, as Except right now trying to spray some bullets, gets shot out, unfortunately, and will now have to try to beam up. Ames just gets absolutely beamed by Mr. Above Average, and Mr. Cooks now trying to go ahead and put some pressure on these players building up ever so quickly. And this is another thing that has to deal with that ping alt, the fact that these guys can build so quickly. They can edit their builds so quickly, as Exit has to go ahead, take that medkit, is in Storm, and it will go ahead and tick for more very soon. And this has turned into a mini heal off right now, just outside Outlaw Oasis, as Mr. Above Average and co, they just run away. They say, hey, the zone's moving, we gotta move too. But I mean, it seems like that team doesn't want them to leave just yet. Minty not wanting to let another team leave, trying to beam them out the sky, but will have to move eventually from that Storm opposing them and pushing it.
It's such a fine balance right now, and Dunk is doing it immensely well. The fact that they're skirting just ahead of the zone means that they can constantly turn around and fire off the pot shots, and that's why that other team was running those double heal packs at that stage. They were kind of hoping that they could buy time and let their opponents get distracted or get preoccupied by getting out of the storm themselves, but they're not going to fall for it. They're happy to do both. They're both keeping themselves safe and keeping pressure on you, and considering they're the ones who did the last bit of damage, they will get credited for any storm kills that come out of that. So it's going to have to be a late run coming out there, and you see one of them does fall down there, baked, getting claimed by the purple zone of death. And there's no teammates that's going to be able to bring that back in. Cooks, the only one left alive, still deep enough in the zone. There goes Bake. The last HP drops out there. Final kill adds to the kill tally of Danka. And with Mr. Cooks with only a single health pack left, the shot's still coming in. They are not letting it down for a second.
They don't want this kill to escape. This is free KP right here. Cooks on 15 HP with 20 shield. I mean, there's nothing you can do against Solo that's pushing in that quickly, beaming that accurately, and now just going to top up with those shields. Wastes one big pot, though, because that Storm pushed in a bit quicker than Solo would have liked. So that is going to leave with 2 big pots, and I mean, using one as soon as you get in zone. You're only going to have one for these final battles, as Pixel taking the fight early on. DJ Fish Plays gets taken down to 10 HP, trying to protect themselves by building. But the spamming through of those lasers is what's really terrifying, Alton. I mean, now just trying to hide maybe in a cone. Fishy Plays just taking those minis, but up high on the mountain. And this is what we were talking about. Those marksman rifles makes it so easy to sit on top of those mountains and have the accuracy on that shot. Fishy cannot let the zone touch him whatsoever. It's a 5 tick right now. It's about to be an 8 tick when this closes in. And if you do the math at home, ladies and gentlemen, you know that 3 is less than both of those numbers. And unfortunately, walks straight into a bullet that goes right through the dome. And that's going to be a knock. Pixel, the last one standing, getting shot at from that same hill now in the back. We'll have to cross this river. But will you make it across this river? Looking to try to maybe go back and get your teammate up. But that might have been a mistake. You just lost a little bit of ground that you could have gone towards. It's not like you can get a refresh of ammo. There's no ammo this season. Maybe the materials, but also Fishy was not building there. Did not have builds. The zone going to pull back up. And now just sitting in the middle of that lake is going to be Pixel. And that's not going to be a good spot for the final 4 teams, Alton.
Final four, only 8 players in here, and it's rarely that you get this few teams towards these last couple of zones. Normally it's so much more frenetic, but there's still no safe zones. I did notice in the kill feed, most of the Danke side is out. There's only a single player, I think it's Mr. Above Average, the last one left alive there. And so while the team has got their KP up, they're sitting on 12 right now, it's all up to Mr. Above Average to stay alive and get the maximum number of placement points, maybe get whatever extra kills that you can. But this terrain is not fortuitous, not playing kind to anyone as the zone moves back up. This little kill box at the bottom here makes it so dangerous. And if you don't have the mats to be able to continuously fortify yourself up, does pick up a nice health kit on the ground there. So gonna have the sustained squad. Their mutual card decides to go up, uses the force blaster to just reflect that final shot on 1 HP and retreats frantically to get back to the ground. Loses Matthew in the process, and Farik gonna be the one to try and buy some time. Gets a kill up there with the lightsaber of their O's. Takes the fight towards their opponent. Says, "You don't touch my friend." But has now got themselves into a bit of a dangerous situation. Mutual Code going to be able to rejoin this as soon as possible now that their health is looking a little bit better. There's the force push. Destroys the build so nicely. Charges in, puts up the block just in case there was an edit forthcoming. And is actually dancing around 2 players right now. This is the other thing about the lightsaber. You don't have to worry about that heat. You can go through builds. Again, skirting on 3 HP. Mutual Card has gone down. And it means that 3 HP, all that's left from this top 4 to top 3. And it's a desperate attempt. Still, there's 2 other teams. They've been so quiet despite the chaos and consternation enshrouded in these pulls right now. Koi, Devour, and Lucid Wrath, they've taken the high ground. They're playing this in full strength. And with all the advantage, they're looking to close this out. One team goes down. For it was going to be claimed there. Mr. Above Average now has the worry of people turning their sights on them. Again, popping those minis just to get that shields up as much as possible. It's a trio versus 2 solos left alive. And you've got to think these guys don't have a lot of kills in their name. 5 is respectable. But compared to the double digits of so many of these other teams, they're going to want to go for it. Mr. Above Average, last attempts to try and 1v3 there, gets taken out there. On the other side, Pixel, the last remaining member of the solo, and the trio comes out. No surprise there. Good victory royale, and they get themselves a respectable 6 points on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Above Average had no materials there as well in that final fight. Could not go ahead and protect whatsoever in that final moments. And that results in Lucid and the rest of the squad going ahead, getting that victory, getting that with 6 kills, like Alt said. And will now be at the top of today's leaderboard. Actually, maybe not, because we did see more kills over there on different squads. So we'll only have to see when that leaderboard gets put up for all of us to see. And we will get that leaderboard after the intermission. But Alt, first game, absolutely wonderful. We see everything that we want to see. We saw the thermal grenades with the force push. And that's a force, no pun intended, to be reckoned with. Especially when it just gets rid of every single build in sight.
Yeah, I know we haven't really gotten to see a lot of the force push, so I didn't even realize up until now that the force push did so much against builds. I mean, it flattened everything, just a swath of destruction in front of them. And that is an amazing way to open up the fight. You get one of your teammates to just lay waste, and then you close in. And you've seen people there going aggressive so often with those lightsabers, and the ability to deflect. Something we didn't even allude to earlier is such a nice way to just get yourself back out and buy time. It's so important to balance the aggression of your opponents. You play the distraction card, and your teammate comes in from the side and confirms those kills. You can buy so much space for everyone around you. Such a nice bit of combination. And like we said, these youngsters, I mean, this patch has been out for roughly about a week now, and they're already coming up with these sort of strategies. What else would you expect here from ASL? And what a big shout out we have to give to ASA Education and ACGL for making this sort of platform available for these youngsters to put into practice what they're obviously so passionate about. But AR, that's just one. That's just one lobby of the day, of course. We're going to be bringing you the final lobby of the week, of week number 2 out of 8. Yeah, even if you have to get going right now, join us all the time for the next 2 months, effectively, to be able to see who gets those slots towards AGC. But we're going to go set up the next lobby. We'll bring you back with those leaderboards just after this. So, AR, I've got a question for you. Why
Uh-huh.
is duct tape like the Force?
Do tell.
Because it has a light side and a dark side.
Why
it holds
do
the
you
universe
have-
together.
I have more important questions, but why do you have duct tape? What did you do in the time that we went intermission?
We are nerds, man. This thing holds the universe together. It is fantastic. But what we're really here for, holding this whole stream together. Big shout out to Reggie in the background for doing that here from ACGL. But as you guys know, we are here to close out the week for the ASL. Fortnite here, the last lobby of the day, and we do have some standings for you. It was Danka just threw an amazing 14 kills in that last game. I think they managed to just sneak into third position, just denied that second spot, thanks to Mr. Above Average. And then, of course, our team that won coming up actually just in second, just below because of kills.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about as well. Like, if you have no kills in the top 6 teams left, what have you been doing? Because that shows right there, you may not get the win. You get a high enough placement point with your kills, you're still taking first. That's example right there of what we were talking about. Swadkop taking that third as well. That's Mutual Card and Company. And then Delta Park, which is DJ Fishy, our duo. Once again, sticking in the top 5 again, Alt. For the second day in a row. These guys know how to play as a duo and know how to get in the top of that leaderboard as well.
Yep. That, of course, is St. Joseph's Marist College that came in second position, by the way, in Swadcorp. Not a surprise to see them coming up in that third spot. It is, again, one of those teams that is just renowned for the esports program. So I'd love to see this, but big shout out to all the guys who came through. Now, AR, as we go into this last one, something that I am noticing, we saw it in PRG yesterday in the Premier Division that managed to finally, after both of their lobbies, take that top spot. There is a correlation between your aggression that you show in the game and the amount of kills that you get, and therefore how well you do on the leaderboards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to have that right amount of aggression, and that's the key word over there, the right amount of aggression, because you can be overly aggressive, you can win a couple fights, cool, you start feeling yourself, you start getting more aggressive, you start pushing fights, and then you're more prone to mistakes, because now you're just seeing red, now you're just seeing, oh, this is free KP. You have to have that right level, and so many of these top teams, whether it's in the open right now, whether it's in the Premier Division, they know how to manage that aggression. They know how to play offensively, but also they know how to play defensively very, very well. And that's something that we talked about yesterday as well when it came to the forces, how you can actually use, for example, the force push defensively, push your opponents away from you, maybe push them into the storm at the end of the game as well. But we've seen it in the offense over there as well, breaking walls down to go ahead and get 3 shots on the opponents in the 1-by-1.
It's so good, actually. It's the first real application that we got to see of it being so offensive. The one, of course, that we are still all looking out for, that Force Lightning from Emperor Palpatine. Yet to see that, and now is the last chance for these guys for this week. Remember that this season, a mini season as it is, going to be around for a while still yet to come. So definitely going to be keeping an eye out, but always a treat to see it. Battle Bus goes up towards the north. The teams drop out for the last time. Most of them heading towards the west. And Crime City, Shiny Shafts, Foxy Floodgates, Lone Wolf, all up for grabs. And it seems that the first order base actually going to be quite vacant at the beginning of this last lobby.
Yeah, very interesting considering that there is that medallion and that mythic from taking down that boss. Of course, everyone wants to go ahead and take out Darth Vader, get that lightsaber early on. Maybe you get a couple of kills. I mean, you know, we didn't think that we would see a lot of lightsabers being used in ASL because it sort of is that high-risk, high-reward that you mentioned. But so far, it's probably been the most of a weapon that we've seen throughout ASL for this update.
It certainly is. Right now, again, you were asking yesterday, what weapons do you drop with? Well, there's your answer. A couple of nice little, not the great pistol. Typically, again, we're always worried about that. Oh, Solar Spectre. This is big. No Life gets the retribution. These were the guys that took them out in the last one, or at least put them under so much pressure. And suddenly, Solar Spectre And this is the big thing about that balance of the aggression. You do want to be aggressive, especially towards the beginning of the game, because you have the opportunity of getting those reboots up. You have to get out as a team. Mr. Above Average decides to put in some shots of his own, doesn't manage to hit with any of those, so needs to now wait for that to go down. Minty, without too much in the inventory, a single blaster is not going to be reliable enough, so decides to augment that with a nice little sniper rifle, now sneaking around, trying to get a better angle, up close, nice and personal. Needs to worry about these two just above the container on the left, but seems to have a pretty good idea that they're there. Again, we still see Mr. Above Average drawing the attention. Mr. Above Average catches their opponents by surprise, gets in a lot of damage, but needs to worry about the rest of the team now starting to coalesce on the position. Instead, Mr. Above Average now taking the aggression, trying to go forward. They did claim the 1 kill. There goes the second knock, and the tides have turned. Now it's a 2v1.
I mean, you
there's
see
a third party coming in.
About. You see what I'm talking about with that pistol alt, how it deals a lot of damage, even though it's that slow rate of fire. The pistol's always slipped on in Fortnite, but these guys know exactly how to use it in that third party, pushing into pumped power very, very quickly. I mean, now is the point in time where you, as the Anchor, need to go ahead, have a reset, or maybe even not, as Minty, with the quick fire, does a little bit of damage over on Chubby, manages to get the wall up just in time, and will now top up, has plenty of shields to actually spare, and back up to 100 over there as well. Thief gets taken out by Mr. Above Average. Nads gets cracked as well. Thief gets confirmed. Chubby pushes him deep, but gets beamed mid-air and body dropped to the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor, in fact, as Nads now just trying to hide away and maybe try to retreat and come back for those cards, or maybe use whatever gold they have to get the cards back, but it doesn't matter. The Anchor, they smell blood in the water. They are like a pack of hyenas, always going for kill after kill. A good shot from Nads over there to counter that shotgun, and pushing deep in right now, trying to spray, but down to 6 and down to 0 as Minty confirms the last of that squad.
And somehow both of these Anchor players still alive. They had a full third party coming in against them, and they're just like, oh, my Uber Eats delivery is here. Thank you. We'll add that to the tally for us. Mr. Cooks just left alive now on the other side of the map, but what a frenetic start here for the Anchor, and they make the most of it. This is not the team you want to take an aggressive push on. I mean, it's the right idea, but you always have to be terrified when someone can pull off a 1v2, 1v3 like that.
That is insane, just out of nowhere as well. No one saw it coming whatsoever. We thought that that would be at least one more of the Anchor going down, resulting in a double reboot perhaps. But no. They showed that they are the Mandalorians of this. I said it before. The weapons are their religions within this, and they know how to use it perfectly to go ahead and clutch up every single fight that they do. On the other side of the map, our victors of the last game now trying to stay alive for a bit longer, and in fact they do. Lucid gets that kill, confirming that trio as well, up to 3 as well right now. This seems to be the competition for the Anchor right now. We saw that battle happen in the last game, that sort of 3v1 at the end. This team against Mr. Above Average alone. Will we see that again towards the end of this game?
And it's so nice for them that they're managing to pick up early kill points right now. Full hat trick goes towards Lucid Wrath. The team now has gotten the extra bit of loot from that, or the mats that they need, so they don't need to waste time. I want to see them transition this into some more aggressive plays, and with them making quick tracks down towards the south. That seems to be the intention. There is a team waiting down there, playing rather passively, and it is just a single duo there with the YSK squad. I don't know if they've spotted them out. Yeah, we are going to be rethinking maybe. Don't know if he knows that they're there, but any sort of errant shots could give away their position and put them in a dire strait against what's proving to be such a potent adversary.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the point right now where you guys as a duo, you need to have this strategy, as in who's going to build first. Yes, we are a duo. We are man down. We have the odds against us right now. We gotta play this out. We see many teams, when they lose one player, they start doing this thing where they trade out builds. One person building while the other one focus shooting, until they switch that on a reload or something perhaps. If these guys are going to burn through their materials very quickly, especially with this season as a duo, you're going to lose a fight. Like, that's just the straight up point. That's the fact right there. you have less materials than everyone else over here. As Athena gets cracked immediately. Goddess of War. No, no, no. It looks like the fight is coming to you right now. As maybe just a bit passive across the street, and that is Mr. Cooks and Ames that are now getting shot at. And there's not a position that you want to be in, as we see Ames with the pistol. No long-range gun, no shotgun even, just an SMG and a pistol, trying to push that opponent's back for a little bit, and now trying to retreat back to this V-boot van.
Well, that's the thing about Athena, not the chaotic war of Ares, but instead the tactical warfare renowned for that play, and was alone, considering they're part of a trio. It had so much space between them and the rest of their squad, could not afford to take that into a full frontal engagement. Instead, just pokes out, keeps tabs on where their opponents are, and now the callers come in, the rest of the trio starting to hunt with them. We go back down towards the mountains as DJ Fishy plays in Pixel. This duo that consistently comes in and yet does surprisingly well for themselves, have their biggest challenge ahead of them. Danka on the low ground. In fact, Danka's also quite split out into two separate fights. They're taking a solo fight, 1v1 on the bridge and just east of brutal boxcars. So we'll see how that goes out. Fishy Blaze takes so much damage. Pixel takes even more and loses all the HP. This team with 7 HP between them is now in a dire situation. That's not enough. Mr. Above Average and Minty going to make short work of that. Now they can turn their help towards their teammate who's decided to come back. This is what I like to see. It's all well and good to spot out what fights you'd like to say, but as a team, you need to be on the same page.
The Anka is up to 8 already, by the way. Just want to point that out. We still have 11 teams, 26 players, and the Anka is sitting at 8 eliminations. Keep that in mind. There's another one. Make that 9 right now, as they go ahead and confirm another one in that kill feed. Meanwhile, Mutual Con shows us unlimited power for just a second, and now jumps in with that lightsaber, but that's the highest kind of the first time we see it too, and that's disappointing, unfortunately. Goes down. That's the highest that we talk about. You're going to be swinging, you're going to be doing a lot of damage, but it's not going to matter. Is that another Force Lightning in play? Yes. It is out. Wait, we might have just gotten the blessing of a century.
Oh, it's been eluding us for so long, but right now they've let the rage consume them and getting to fight it out. The footsie battle denies it, and they keep going. We go back now towards the St. Joseph squad. Lucid Wraith and the rest of them find an opponent there who's frantically building, but they've got the angles at the St. Joseph's to be able to try and corral their opponent now. Dujour, the one who's managed to make the close range engagement happen, put on the pressure, just stop their opponent from escaping in any way, constantly communicating between them where their opponents are. They seem to have slowed it down right now, may have lost track of those opponents, but otherwise it might not be a bad thing for them. Maybe not realizing that there's 2 squads actually within close distances. They cannot afford to tunnel vision at any stage. Shots start coming towards them, draws their attention back out, and the long range guns come out. It's only in the green variety, which means that they need to be careful. Can't afford to necessarily trade as much as they want. Got a couple of nice little minis to be able to hit, plus the keg that will get you back up. They decide to head out. This is too hot for them right now. And it seems like all 3 teams just going to end up in a stalemate.
Yeah, that tactical retreat is going to be commended by me, because in that situation, you don't want to be there. Yes, it's a lot of potential eliminations, but it's also that massive chance to get eliminated yourself. You know, if you do the math around it, you don't want to be in that situation. Athena, though, back up to full HP. Team now fully back in as well, as they are just south of the resistance base, and unfortunately L2 gonna get knocked as well, just crossing the river. Athena gonna try to put some cover fire in, maybe put pressure on this player, not allow for any confirm on elimination, but taking down a 20 shield, has to build up above this tree line, and knows that one's on the height as well, as you see that walls in the distance, and aims with that marksman rifle. And this is why I love having the marksman rifle in ASL. You get to see these guys hit the 63, the 122, and then now try to beam down that wall, get the confirm on that elimination, and Cook's gonna push up a little bit more, get a different angle, and this is what's so beautiful about having the numbers advantage. You go ahead and can set up on an entirely different angle, but that storm now gonna go ahead and help the defending side. Cook's gonna go ahead and use that med kit to heal up, as they now have to rotate. Khalid, the last one alive, looking to maybe get a cheeky little revive over here and needs to stick it, even though the storm is going to be doing a little bit of damage very, very soon. And Athena still bleeding out as well. Blaze Palais joining in this fight right now with 2 mythics. Has that lightsaber, has that assault rifle as well, and now uses the super force push to go ahead, get items around. That's actually a different force push alt. I didn't even know that one was in the game right now.
And look at the distance that he managed to get to. Collects everything around it and threatens your opponent's structures. And this has suddenly turned into a bit of a third party as Blaze Palais and the rest coming to put pressure on Ames and Mr. Cooks. They did manage to get the knock on Athena earlier, but now they've got their own problems to worry about. Nice edits to cover that shotgun shot and can now confirm that Blaze Palais has overextended. Matthew also going to go down in this engagement. And in the middle of the storm, this one's starting to tick for a little bit too much to be comfortable. It's just still that one. But I mean, there's finally the confirmation on Athena. It's enough to maintain for now, especially when you've got this much resources, and eventually it just comes out to the kills there. So I think, is that a solo coming out? Out of the 6 players, the 8 players that were there, there's very few that emerge.
Yeah, that's a dangerous thing right there if you're solo. Ghost Slayer, last one running through, and don't know actually where it disappeared to for a second over there. Meanwhile, Dejor
taken out by Ames.
Taken out. That, that would make sense. Yeah, you're right. Dejor, though, at the rest of squad at the gas station, getting little snacks for the road as well before we get into this final few zones. 7 teams, 17 players left alive, and Coin with the 63. The triple 63 knocks down Jaffe, and the quick push in now by Lucid. There's the confirm on that elimination. I believe this was the duo as well, so 1 left alive, building up quickly to protect from the right, and Dejor gonna push up a bit as well. That's a different team shooting as well, if I'm not mistaken. That is Mr. Above Average. That is the Anchor that's pushing in from the north side. Dejor getting absolutely beamed, cracked right now. Needs to go ahead and pop those minis. Koi trying to build up some protection as well. Edits the window to pass through the box unnoticed. But does not even matter. The bolts still getting shot at as everyone now popping those shields, trying to get healthy for this next upcoming fight.
Yeah, YSK is the solo player left alive, and aside from St. Joseph's, would love to finish this off before having to deal with the Anchor. But the fortifications are 2 there, the brick walls, you can huff and you can puff. The Trips is going to stay solid. It's going to have to come down to a close range engagement, and he knows that buying time, although he may have been out of the frying pan into the fire, as the Wolves themselves descend right now. Mr. Above Average. In fact, they've ignored the solo. They're going for the more kills. They're putting in the damage against St. Joseph's. They're wanting retribution. Just try and extend that points difference gap between them. And right now, again, maybe they've just spotted out. Solar Spectre left with the job of the cleanup here on YSK. Is frantically building, frantically editing. How do you counter this out? And again, changes the angle so quickly. Decides to go through, shotgun to the face. They're going to clean this up, still maintain their strength in numbers, maintain their strength in terms of their HP pools. And now they can turn their sights towards Lucid Raids, who's up down to 5 HP, has to pop his only melee and pull out the keg there to try and get back up. As the rest of the team still trying to rotate out there. There's another squad waiting on the mountain, so they cannot go too far. And the bullets continue to rain in from a distance.
The double and triple edits from Solo over there was absolutely insane. Remember, this is on high ping as well, and that's why it makes it so impressive. And the Anchor right now, they may have just chased down this other team, seeing in the kill feed, the kill on Jaffe, and knowing those were the victors of the last game as Koi gets taken out by Solo Spectre. The Anchor right now wanting to go ahead and say that this is Godzilla versus King Kong. Hell, there's no Godzilla and King Kong because the Anchor is both at this point. Suede goes ahead and knocks down Lucid. That means that there's only 1 alive on that squad. That's 2 knocks. Solo getting 1, and then Suede getting the other. But objective tunnel visioning, and this is what you talked about, Alt. You cannot tunnel vision, especially when you're in a lobby against the demons from the Anchor that go ahead and beam you from miles away, sitting at a healthy 10 kills right now. And Solo, lightsaber in hand, gonna push up. I do believe that a double is got thrown off on the Lucid squad. Yes, it is, in fact, Lucid getting de-knocked by Mr. Above Average, and I'm so curious to see what Mr. Above Average's damage for this game is, as Minty has pushed all the way behind on the height of the mountain. Gonna throw a squishy down and then replace it with a fresh one for new heals as well. We are at our 4 teams, 11 players, zone number 5, as the Anchor trying to put more pressure on these players, get a couple more eliminations before this game is done, and set themselves atop that leaderboard permanently for today.
Well, there's only 4 teams left, and 3 of them broil like this so early. We're not even waiting for the final couple of zones, and these are 3 of the most powerful teams right now. They're going to be happy with their placement positions, but I mean, these guys have spread themselves out. The Anchor, the ones who've taken the lion's share of the positioning, with Minty on this powerful spot on the mountain, gets a good off angle. No Life continues to just try and edit themselves out. They're suddenly the ones caught in the center of this broil. It seems like St. Joseph's completely forgotten about on the low ground after the number of reses they had to get out, and they're going to be happy that they've been given the chance to stabilize everyone back into this, but now completely depleted of any sort of sustain. So they're going to have to make tracks. They leave the trios to fight it out and leave it down. Objective I, he was the one first knocked earlier. He gets knocked again. Mr. Above Average again. Fancy footwork above and over their opponents. Gets in a couple of shots there to trade it out. Now stalls it down. Leaves it to Minty, who's going to be fighting it out for that high ground. The zone now, though. This is the big question. Both of these teams soon going to be forced into making a long rotation. They've got a couple of lightsabers to give them that extra bit of speed, and decide to top up with these wonderful minis. Such a quick way to reinforce yourself. And they decide, you know what, we've done a lot of damage. We've taken out No Life. Koi going to be taken out from a distance by Mr. Above Average. Again, it's their ability to transition their focus from one team to another. Anyone who's around is in danger, and a couple more kills go towards it. Mr. Cooks, the last one left, or at least the last team that we've yet to see get embroiled in this. They're hiding quite comfortably on the other side. The last one left alive here, Swarm once more, has lost both teammates, has got some sustain, but no time to use it. And still, again, it's this ability to chase away from the zone while turning around and putting pressure on the opponents who are trying to come in behind you.
And that's absolutely insane. The amount of damage that they just got through that final few seconds as the zone was closing in, and Suave is the last one left alive right now and taking a lot of damage, and unfortunately will go ahead and die to zone courtesy of Mr. Above Average, and that is going to be the heal up for them. 13 kills for the Anchor right now in this top 3 situation. 8 players left alive, and Lone Wolf Lay, Mr. Cooks and Ames, sitting comfortably in the mansion, hearing the gunfire outside, looking now to go ahead, take a few pot shots at the enemy players, and it does hit a 21 over there, and overheating the gun means that you will have to just take a little bit of a break, pull that gun down, and think about how you're going to defend your house. This has turned into a zombies gameplay right now. You're in the house, you got to board up the windows, you got to go ahead and defend your island from everyone that's trying to get in. Except that the ones trying to get in has been dominating this entire lobby right now, and you can see what they're doing. It's very, very smart that they're going around the edge of the zone as well, hoping that the players on the roof will spot out the other players that are still further out, trying to rotate so they can sort of sneak in, maybe get a free elimination, then gain that height advantage, because that's the most important thing about that position is the height advantage.
There's your squishy again, gets the team topped up and pulls out the lightsaber to enable the rotations. It's something that is very unique to this season. So often when you're out in the open, you're under so much pressure, but these guys are able to use it. Mr. Above Average doesn't decide to waste what little mats he's got left. They can put in the pressure, but I mean, this could not have worked out better for Mr. Cooks there and the rest of the team in Lone Wolf Lair. The zone continues to favor them and circles in, but circling around, the Anchor once more, now pinning their opponents. Lucid Wraith and the rest of St. Joseph, they had the more difficult job, but they've taken advantage of the distractions. Ames and Mr. Cooks, they need to be careful. They've given themselves such a good chance into this. They've got the natural cover of the building. They've gotten themselves a couple of cones to work around. They're constantly looking for whatever they can, but yet to pick up one of these crucial kills to really give themselves the edge, or at least equalize out the 2 trios that threaten to snatch this victory away from them. They've had a nice passive period of play, but now they're going to be forced straight into the middle of the action.
Yeah, I mean, we know how cruel the zone actually is for Fortnite. We've seen zones end in the middle of the ocean. But Mr. Cooks right now, they can still keep this advantage. They can hold out till the last possible moment, keep the height, and then just beam anyone trying to rotate in. And it looks like that's what they're going to try to do. Shading materials, of course, need to go ahead and do that, especially as a duo. And you can see them trying to figure out how they want to play this. There is that launch pad that they can use in the wrong direction, though, so it will make rotating a little bit more difficult. They're trying to spot out any movement whatsoever, and things have slowed down, almost becoming methodical right now from all that action that we just saw. But we know that it's about to pick up over here in the last few seconds. Storm number 8, still without 8 players, as a beautiful 63 quick scope from Solo goes ahead and put enough pressure on the team to back down. And now is where the spray comes through. Now is where you'll have to go ahead and beam through, and that wall needs to be protected by them as well. But Solo knowing to check surroundings, and this is what you keep on pointing out, switching from one fight to another, the awareness of these guys on a whole nother level. And now moving through, just beaming and beaming these materials. And the important thing about this is you're wasting the mats that we just saw shared by the players as well. Minty with the pistol as well, trying to get maybe a pot shot through. You see the DMR as well, dealing some damage. And there's a lot of pressure put on height. You're going to burn them down enough to actually push them down, and now Twitch's fire, and that bolt will actually break. But is it too late? It is a bit too late. They've made it to the ultimate height. Still 3 teams ult. Still every single player over here managing to either get revived or just stay alive.
There's so much strategy coming out there. It's great from the Uncans to be able to go, okay, they've got the high ground above us. We need to try and get them out of that. And instead, they can't do it. They just cannot off-seat this high ground advantage. Look at those fortifications coming out there. They continue to be built and reinforced. Cones to try and get a better angle. Get some nice shots down there. But Lucid Ray half a second below the bullets coming out there. Turns for an easier target. Mr. Cooks, he's the first one to go down. That's our duo turned into a solo. It's all up to Ames. Ames, not long for the world, goes down. And it's our 3v3. It's our top 2 spots from the previous game. Minty decides to go aggressive, takes the shotgun into the back of Lucid Roth, takes him down immediately. 3v2. There's the drop from high ground. DeJour going to be taken down. Aim's going to be credited with the kill late into the game, but most importantly, it's the 3v1. Quite the last one left alive. Tries desperately, but gets taken out. It's Mr. Above Average, Solo, Spectre, and Minty from the Anchor. They get themselves all the kills that they could have wanted to, but most importantly, that first position, which should send them skyrocketing to the top of today's leaderboards.
How the turns have tabled indeed. First going from Mr. Above Average being the last one alive in the first game, now to the entirety of the Anchor going ahead and pushing through, taking that 3v1 situation and flipping it on its head, almost like a revenge of the Sith itself, as they go ahead and get the victory of the second game. I'm not even too sure how much kills they had there in the end, but it was over 13 the last time that we checked it. So that scoreboard is going to go ahead and change. Well, not change dramatically, but I mean, there's going to be that gap in between first and second surely as well. But that's the second game. We are getting the scoreboard sorted out for all of you guys as well, just to get the points before we get into another intermission. But that's the last game of Fortnite for this week.
Yeah. And what a great ending to the week. I mean, it really epitomizes what school esports has become here. The fact that we're able to start recognizing these teams at the beginning of the day because we've seen them just consistently pushing to the top of those tables. And you can see by that end zone was actually one of the best examples of how good players should be playing it. And rarely do we get to see such an even match towards the end. It really came down to the micro decisions. How much are we pressurizing builds? We don't have to worry about ammo right now, so we can afford to take those pot shots. They've got the positional advantage, and we need to do something to be able to go for it. Instead of charging down your opponents or trying to just build up to them and match them, especially when they were sitting Dunker on such low builds themselves, they were instead going for the gunplay play, and they just challenged it out. They were constantly switching targets, and you saw it from all three teams. They were taking a couple of shots this way, turning, getting a couple of shots that way. Okay, we've lost a person. There's been a knock. Let's just hold out for a second. Let those two fight it out. And such good rotations. We saw people taking such long routes. We saw St. Joseph's going along the bottom edge while Danka went on the top, while the team that had already set themselves up in the zone was staying there. They were not just moving for the sake of moving. There was so much tactical play and brilliance in that end zone in the last, 3 minutes or so of that game. That was amazing to watch, just from like a chess match aspect of Fortnite, which we so rarely get to see in these frenetic end zones. So absolutely love to see this. And it makes me sad that we're ending this week, but so excited to get back into it next week.
Oh yeah, and there's going to be changes as the days go along as well. Remember, this is a mini season of Fortnite, meaning that every single week there's going to be a new update that brings something new into the Star Wars universe. I think next week going to get the Wookiee bowcaster, which I'm not too sure if we're going to see that in the tournament rules. I think we have before though, so it's going to be interesting to see that that's a mid to long range weapon that you can actually charge up, and it deals more damage through a blast, and more importantly, it does AoE damage as well. So that's going to change up the meta as well. But I don't even think there's a meta for this season. I think there's just targets upon backs and blood in the water. I mean, you look at the Anka, they push through. Like I said earlier on, it's not Godzilla versus King Kong. They are Godzilla and King Kong pushing through every single game that we witness. We're getting that leaderboards up for you right now. And in fact, we do have those leaderboards for you, and no surprise over there. 181 points in one day. That is 31 kills in one day, Alt.
That is fantastic from them. I mean, we talked about how close those points were at the end of the first round. There is no doubt in anyone's mind who stands head and shoulders above there. The Titans of South African schools Fortnite. Daanka once more stamping their authority on this match. But well done to St. Joseph's Morris College, who've managed to not just get that second spot, but fill up the top of the podium there, all the way down to fourth position. Of course, that first team was... that's interesting that they came through. Koi, of course, Lucid Wraith. That was their squad. They managed to last all the way out to second spot, and their good performance in game number 1 as well. But an interesting fact, AR, when you look at Danka, 31 kills. They got 17 in that second game. 31 kills in a day is phenomenal.
They are cooking through this open of term 2, and this is term 2, which is going to last for that total of 8 weeks leading up to AGC, the LAN that happens in the middle of the year. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Around 2 months more of this action, so stick around, because we do this every Wednesday and Thursday as well. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have that action for all of you guys. But that is all the Fortnite action for today. But we're not done just yet. No. I told you guys earlier, and I'll say it again, don't touch that dial, because we have some Valorant action coming for all of you guys as well. Unfortunately, we have to bid farewell to Mr. Altruism. I'm going to miss him until the next time he shows up and annoys me with all of his puns. But I love the annoyance. Don't worry. I love the annoyance, buddy. Don't you?
I know.
Yeah, you know. Anyway, we are going to take that short intermission, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone, I want to see everyone saying goodbye to Alt in the chat right now, because we are going to get that Valorant set up for all of you guys. So don't touch that dial. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are not done just yet with ASL for this beautiful Thursday afternoon. No. I told you we have some Valorant action coming at you hot and live, and who better to bring over into the scene than the one and only, the GOAT himself, Trout.
Oh, thank you very much for the beautiful introduction there. And of course, it wouldn't be anything but improper to say that it's you who's carrying this, because like you said, you're the one who knows what's going on, especially in the school side of Valorant. So I'm here to sort of pick up the pieces where I can, and I'm excited to it. I mean, it's been a fantastic sort of long weekend, and I say long weekend because it still feels like I'm recovering from the Comic-Con of last weekend plus the LAN, and I got to see some Valorant in person, so hopefully that just carries over. But again, the two teams that we got this evening, who are they?
It is Linden High School versus Jaeger, which is Kiro Somerset West going at it live for you guys again. This is ASL. This is the ACGL Schools League. Over 180 schools signing up this year, the 4th year of ASL, to be a part of it all. And if you guys want to get your schools involved, schools.acgl.gg. We just got done with some fantastic Fortnite action, and if that's what you're into as well, you can find out how to apply for your schools at the same place. But Linden High School versus Jaeger, and this is going to be a battle for the ages right now. These guys want to make their names for themselves. Of course, every team wants to make a name for themselves, especially in Valorant. You want to be known as the better jet. You want to be known as that raised duff. So I'm sure we're going to see some of it in this game today. And we are playing on Haven, which is that 3-sided map, Trout.
Yeah, Haven. I mean, it is such a classic pick. I don't know. I think it's one of the few maps where it feels as though there are 3 sites, but it's not too much. Sometimes I feel like a map like Lotus, it takes 5 to 8 business days to get from like A to C in some cases, or on Pearl, which I know is only 2, but those sites also feel very far apart. And this one, it feels like it's nice and evenly spaced, and there is a good amount of balance between attacking and defending sides. Having said that, I do think that if you have a very strong Sentinel setup, you can sort of cushion yourself with some attacking rounds, and then you're going to capitalize in those defensive rounds. And looking at the picks here, it does look like we're going to go for a standard 2 duelists, 1 Sentinel, 1 controller, and 1 initiator from both sides. So good to see that they have at least a good understanding of what you should be taking into it. Having said that, I see a Sage, and I'm not a fan of that pick. Never will be, but it is what it is.
I am a fan of that Cypher pick, though. However, that's going to make things very difficult to get onto site if played correctly. Of course, those chips make it so difficult to get through. That Sage wall could be useful down B, but again, not really a pick that I would really go. We've got a KO over there for the information, of course, for those flashes as well, and Chamber on Ruan as well. On the other side, Cloves on both sides, I should say, for those smokes, which honestly I'm not that much of a fan of. The Clove smokes seem to almost be non-existent at times. It doesn't last as long as what an Omen smoke would, or what a Brim smoke would, but who can actually complain about that when we're in here? So, pistol round, we start off, and you can't say much off of the first round, but this is where the mental game begins. This is where you can sort of get into your opponent's heads and sort of get the advantage in that way.
I couldn't agree more. It sort of sets the stage and a good taste of what the accuracy is looking like, because I think that is normally what you're really testing in the first round will be accuracy, because 9 times out of 10 you get into a couple of 50-50 fights, and then whoever can control that recoil a little bit better or stop moving a little bit quicker is typically the team that comes out on top. But looking at the buys from the side of Jaeger here, looks like they're very aggressively going towards a Ghost full pick. Obviously with the Chamber not using that because he has the Pocket Guardian, but again, A seems to be the site. Now we get to see who's more accurate on the day.
I love pistol rounds. It sets the tone so beautifully. It's so fun to watch. And quick push-ups by Ramcat over here. Ghost in hand avoids the stun, and actually doesn't avoid that stun fully. Gets flipped out Infinity on the Sova. Does take out Jet. That's a massive elimination over there. Basically denying any ease of entry with that dash. And 5v4 situation almost instantly. And now holding short, as Mars will push through short and get one with the classic. And that's the smokes down, but the good thing about it is you can still smoke even when you're dead on Clove.
Oh, well, it's only 1 smoke, and it's just sort of limited area, but you're going to be punished if you run, and you're going to be spraying with the Pocket Guardian. Everyone knows shot reset is the way to do it, but at the moment, only losing 1 player Linden looking like they have defense, well, at least in the pistol rounds, pretty under wraps.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we set up for that second one, and we are going to see Mars pull out that Spectre classic way to go with this. You buy on the second if you win that first one, just to put the pressure on. So you have that free round on third round as well. And you know, on the side of Jaeger, they are going to stick with those ghosts and some half shields as well. Actually, Ramcat going to opt for that sheriff.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that buy. If you're going to be going into it on the back foot and you're going to be full buying, you should be ecoing because you know that your enemy is going to be anti-ecoing hard, and that's exactly what they've done. They bought Spectres, they bought a couple of I believe that there were some sheriffs on there, but everyone on the side of Jaeger, no, not Jaeger, sorry, Linden has shields, so bit of a tough one in my opinion to spend that much money, and you can come out second best, and you won't be able to full buy in the third round, which is obviously what everyone wants to do. But Scythe says, yeah, your rules mean nothing. I'll find the first pick with a ghost.
Yeah, and now they push through Garage, destroying that Cypher chips as well as Tukana in main gets taken out. That Valorant timing over there as Partly Broken will get the elimination freely as the plant goes down over on C now. And EU gonna throw that middle out, try to lower anyone's HP, make them a bit vulnerable. Drops out, but Ruan TP's out back onto site and swings now with that classic. A few shaky shots here and there, a few shots connecting. Mars gonna go with that stun. Spectre in hand. Unfortunately, gets taken out by Scythe over there as well. 5v2 situation. Infinity, couple of shots, but when everyone's swinging out at you, that's tough to go ahead and hit that headshot, and the score gets tied up.
And that is an unfortunate turn of events for Linden there. I mean, they bought, as you're supposed to anti-eco, and now they're going to be sort of punished for it because not everyone's going to be able to full buy in the third round, whereas you can see everyone for the side of Jaeger here will at least be able to bonus with a rifle or something similar to a rifle. And I don't know, in terms of economy, I think they've done a good start here, having gone down so badly in the first round, because they only lost one player, that being Linden. But again, I don't know how I felt about that attack, because it felt as though they just allowed Jaeger to get onto site. They had one person watching C, and the moment that the first player fell and that poor timing onto Jet, which is just how it goes, no one was rotating quick enough and they got the free plant. And I think at this level, you really don't want to be allowing the bomb to go down for free, because then you have a sick opponent, that being time.
Yeah, absolutely, and that Recon will go ahead and scan out that entire team. Mars with the flash, not catching anyone, pulls out with that Stinger, not going ahead and getting anything worth it over there. We have lost one on the side of Linden already as Ramcat now trying to swing with that Sheriff, but the middle pushes him back. Mars holding down short, stun in hand, and throws the stun out. Gets one, gets two as they line up for that Stinger. Vandal in hand now for them to push through short and get a couple more eliminations, but the spray from Ramcat over there. And False Radiant also gets the elim on side. We have a 2v2 situation.
2v2 indeed, and it looks like Sewers is where things come to go and to be flushed. And right now, the lives, not too bad, but Ruan put down to half HP. Both of them within a 1 dink range, if there is even a Phantom about. But right now, are we playing Juggle the Weapon to see who can find the timing? And the answer is Infinity. As he finds the first, all of a sudden, it's the Chamber left in 1 versus 2, but he has God timing here. He might just be able to make this play. Gets the first, looking for the second, but 4 HP is not enough to do it to the round. Going to Linden.
Yeah, absolutely. 2-1 right now on that scoreboard, and this is where the confidence has to pick up now. We see that for the attacking side, they slowing things down. Yes, they are getting onto site eventually, but I feel like it's not very cohesive. They're not really pushing together for the most part. They still undecided about what they want to do in this early on game. Of course, it's still a long game. Things can change within this as we see the buys over on Linden, Vandals, Phantom, and Guardian, and an Outlaw on the side for Jaeger as well. That Outlaw is going to get taken down immediately with a clean headshot from EU, and now spraying through the wall does actually hit Partly Broken as well, taking him down to less than a quarter HP. And will get healed up. Of course, that's where that Sage value comes in, but more damage done over to Ramcat as well, as Spike is now dropped.
Well, interesting choice of weapon to chow the middle there. I suppose you can expect it in mid windows with an Outlaw, but I don't know. I feel like if you're going to have a scoped weapon, you got to go see, and that's just where you walk into the pre-aim of somebody with a Vandal looking for your head, and that's exactly what happened. You know, I suppose it is the small things, and I'm being very nitpicky as I'm expecting the highest level here, but suppose that's how you got to be, because they're going to be looking back at this and they can see where they can make the adjustments. But again, what you said is perfectly true. They are not looking very decisive. They're sort of trying to figure out where they can go. But the moment somebody falls down, just sort of ping pong between the sides, and then you can see the entire defensive side just slowly tightening the noose or the net around them, choking the life out of them, and all of them under 100 HP, bar the Clove. It's not looking great here for the side of Jaeger.
Yeah, and with 30 seconds left on the clock, a play will have to be made from the attacking side. Eventually, as Mars with that stun out A main, or towards A lobby, I should say. And partly broken. Only one healthy does get taken out by that timing. And no, it's down to 1 immediately and 13 HP. Might as well just try to go ahead and save this gun with that 10 seconds ticking down. That looks like exactly what's going to happen.
Yep, he has no HP, nor did he have the bomb. So he might be able to get a couple of condolence kills. Yo, the timing was good for him at least. So I suppose a few more economy going his way. Not quite. Didn't move, you know, shoot and move. After you get the kill, especially after the round has ended, you want to save your weapon. But either way, it looks like it's going to be a scattered build across the board. Except for Infinity. I think he has enough to buy for False Radiant. But I'm not sure why he hasn't requested yet. I'd love to be in the comms to hear what they're talking about, to see what the conversation is.
As well. I would love to listen into these players and their thought process behind everything and the communications between it. Ruan had that outlaw selected, did switch over to the Marshal, of course, trying to keep some sort of economy for the future rounds, as well as an Infinity getting ready to do this lineup once again for Decon down into A lobby and fires it off. Falls a little short over there, unfortunately, and a big shot over from the chamber, but Mars pushed up deep through sewers, finds 2 and then backs up immediately. Infinity on half HP, looks to be pushing up as well. Scythe though, ready to try to get a count over here, has revive available and tries to pop it over there right now. Flash goes out, does go ahead. Flash Ramcat, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3 as Mars goes ahead. And just gets the flawless. Unfortunately, not a true ace over there through the revive. But still, that's a 5k nonetheless.
Indeed. And I think that was a perfect bait and switch, right? Mars played that fantastically. He knew that he had a little bit of coverage looking down from long. The shot came across. And I think the confidence would have been there from the side of Jaeger. Simply because they hit the Sova, right? He was like half health. He got hit by the Marshal. And then that just opened the door for Mars to get in there with the Phantom. Got a couple of kills. And I mean, 12-2, he is absolutely doing all that he can and more for this Linden side.
Yeah, and Sukuna out right now waiting with that op. Gets 1, but gets taken out by Ruan. And that's the op down. And the push now onto side, the jump over that Cypher trip, I should say. EU goes in and takes out Chambermain. Ruan gets False Radiant. That it takes us down to a 3v3 situation. Of course, all the Cypher trips and Cypher Util now down as EU pushing through window, makes that silent drop, sprays through the smoke, doesn't connect on Ruan over there, but does get the elimination eventually. The Hunter's Instinct gets popped and does tag both, gets 1 though on a confirm. 80 damage over to Ramcat, 6 HP, manages to get a headshot but cannot clutch it up. Would have been a beautiful little flick headshot over on Infinity, but Infinity will get that defuse, putting that score up to 5-1.
And the attacking side looking a little bit lackluster here. And again, I might have just jumped the gun a little bit early there, saying that they allow them to plant too easily. But if you can retake that confidently, I suppose you can allow them to plant every time. And I don't know. If you were in their shoes right now, this being Jaeger, what would you do to change your setup slightly? Because now they'll have enough money to buy everyone a rifle at the very least before going forwards into this next round. And this is sort of like a turning point round. If you go down 6-1, you're really going to have to fight to get your economy back up, and you'll never be able to get higher than 6-6 at this case. Yeah. Well, I suppose you're looking for a 6-6 at the best, maybe even a 6-7 if you're lucky. But right now, not looking great for the side of Jaeger. And there's the chamber ult. It might be a counter op here. Just have to wait and see how it goes.
Yeah, I would expect them to maybe default just a bit, but they've been defaulting for most rounds so far, and it hasn't really worked out. They need to find an early pick, play cohesively together, and it's Ruan gets the first elimination with that to the France. That sniper rifle, that's so powerful, and that gives them a little bit of an advantage. Mars, though, swinging out, trying to get a little trade off, perhaps. Partly broken on side, gets an elimination. on the counter. Clove pushing up, does not spot Infinity. Will they pop the not dead yet? The not dead yet does get popped out. A second life over for Clove, and they've done well this round. It's a 4v1 situation, and they do manage to get that round. A couple trades here and there, but they do take that score up to 2.
Well, you got to get back into it one round at a time, and I suppose the full buy and a bit of confidence behind that worked out perfectly. And like I said, counter op, you got to be able to hit a little bit more accurately. And there was a wall bang from the Jet, from Linden there. He did hit the chamber through the wall, but again, not enough to finish the kill off. So that was initially the first blood going the way of Jaeger, and then they just sort of played around that, got the picks as they needed to. They used a lot of utility, in my opinion. They used quite a few ults there, specifically the not dead yet. I think they could have saved that because they were so far up in numbers. But the hindsight is 20/20, and apparently the shots from Dawn and Sakura, not really great there, as 2 will fall pretty much instantly, but the counter up popped immediately.
Yeah, and now pushing up through window, gonna go check through lobby, but that ult is going to run out in a couple of seconds. There it goes as False Radiant gets 1 in Cubby. They cannot get the second. Your Chambermaid on that Jet is gonna dash through that flash. Double cloud bursts up, and they've taken sight very, very effectively over here. Infinity, last one left alive now. 1v4 situation. Plant goes down, and I mean, this one is looking tough. Not impossible, but tough. You see the spray come through. There's the one, but could not get a second, let alone a third. And slowly but surely, Jaeger getting that score back up.
And like I said, they were aiming for a potential 6-5 here for them, or 7-5 for them, excuse me. And they're doing a fine job at that. They now have got a good economy to work around, so they have a little bit of money in the back pocket. But as you can see, the economy is slowly starting to dwindle for Linden. Having said that, they will sort of half buy here. If I was in their shoes, I would absolutely eco completely this round, and then you know that you'll have a certain threshold that you will meet in the next one. But I don't know. Just have to wait and see. And C looking like the most favorite point here for Jaeger, as they've consistently gotten the first pick and then just converts the round off of that.
Everyone spotting out one. TP's out, but still gets stunned over there. Mars gets out Scythe as Scythe takes out the smokes, being EU, and Infinity with a double, taking the numbers down of Jaeger down to 2. 4v2 situation. Ruan all the way back in lobby with the KO, and this is the thing. They split so much that when it gets to the point of pushing onto A site, it's very difficult because Infinity and Mars, they usually hold sites like this. I mean, Mars been holding B for the past couple of rounds. Infinity's shots are so good that they need to be able to trade each other out effectively. A pot shot taken on one over there. But now the Hunter's Instinct one more time, and just like that, Linden take that score up to 6. And you gotta notice that there's no cohesion still over here when pushing A side for Jaeger.
Oh, exactly. So that's what I said. They're doing well on C, and then they decide to change things up and go mid to A. It's not working. So my philosophy is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right now they're trying to be a little bit too fancy, in my opinion. Try the same strat until it stops working. That is the simplest way to win rounds in Valorant, because if you can do a strat and execute it well, 9 times out of 10, the opponent doesn't really know how to counter it. And the moment you start changing things up, they can sort of find the weaknesses in your approach, and that's exactly what's been happening here. As I say that, it looks like the first blood will be going your way of Sakuna. Nice shot, looking for the second. Give him the third. It is absolutely there, even with the ult at play. Doesn't matter. Give him 3, maybe even 4. He knows it's there. Pull the trigger. He knows. Not quite able to make it happen. Looking to take off some fingers, but the damage dealt there from Mars, and all of a sudden it's Jet left in a 1 versus 5.
I mean, that was probably the fear also there for Jaeger, that up, and we see it in action over there getting, what was that, 4 perhaps? Yeah, it was 4, as Mars gets the final elimination on Jet, and that's going to be a 7 round for Linden. And talk about that best case scenario being 5-7, only a couple more rounds for Jaeger to try to accomplish that.
Well, I think if you're in Linden's side, you could absolutely make it a 9-3. And
oh yeah,
that's that may be what they're aiming for. If they want to avoid the curse, maybe not. We'll have to just wait and see. But now, money all round. They can commit to a side here. But now that C hasn't worked, I actually have no advice for the side of Jaeger.
I'm with you on that one too. I mean, Of course, London playing this so incredibly well. The aim is top notch. They know how to play off of each other effectively, and slow push up now from Jaeger. Actually, some noise being made by the Jet will slowly give away perhaps the trip. Does manage to catch out Jet, and now that information being relayed to the rest of London. Wall goes up, blocking Garage. The slow as well on Sukuna down towards CT. Sukuna having to back up though to keep that singular knife from that alt left as the spike is planted. Nades coming through from KO. And now they just got to try to play time over here. Gap in the wall to go ahead and get a pixel shot on anyone who may be in Garage. Pushing through the smoke now, trying to find one. Gets one. Immediately gets to cover. 8 bullets, pops the reload, gets a second. Tries to get the third, could not in time, but still a 3v1 situation. Infinity, though, using that gap in the wall to get one, but Scythe manages to go in with that Guardian, get the headshot. 7-4 is our score.
Last round in the
Yeah, so it's looking like it might be a 5-7, unless it's going to be an 8-4, like you said. But, it is something so beautiful about Valorant, is you hit the absolute demon shots, but you miss the sitters. So he threads the needle through the wall, gets the first, and then proceeds to shoot everything but the Sage in the follow-up, and gets punished for it. I mean, the 1v3 was absolutely a potential there, if he had moved a little bit quicker and maybe was a slight bit accurate, a little bit more accurate. But again, last round and a half, everyone has to throw everything they have, including the kitchen sink, at the economy to see what they can find. And now, at the 99, to change things up, go towards A. Jaeger might come out on top here, but maybe the strat of them looking for a few more defensive rounds with the 2 Sentinel build might come out and work a little bit stronger for them, as they may be maybe an attacking side, but only time will tell. As of right now, first blood drawn run,
Ooh.
pushing up. You would have thought that he's a duelist, but he's actually a chamber.
Pushes in, gets that headshot, and putting a lot of pressure on Linden as they get taken down to 2 remaining. Partly broken in a little clove battle over here right now. Not dead yet, gets popped. The revive as well from Sage getting popped for Jaeger. And the plant will go through as Dawn, last one alive, spots out the clove, gets the alarm. Knives all miss over there from your chambermaid, but that Vandal does not miss, and 7-5 is what we go into for our half.
So as even as it gets, and we get to see what the reset looks like here. Maybe the pistols are a little bit stronger on defense for the side of Jaeger. But again, like I spoke about how important your comp can be for defense, them having a 2 Sentinel build here, they can potentially just wall off B and then know that they only really have to worry about A and C. They have a lot of potential to do well on the defense here, as unfortunately, I don't think the Cypher came through as strongly as I thought it would have on the side of Linden. They do have a 2-round advantage, but it may not be enough looking at the defensive comp of Jaeger here.
Yeah, I mean, we got Ruan on that chamber sheriff as well. Misses the shot, but has the information and will relay it to the rest of the team, as we see that aftershock go through the blind as well, and Sukuna pushing deep within, getting them onto site for a very, very quick plant. And a 5v3 situation to go ahead right now. Diffusing, or diffusers have that time ticking away for them as the flash gets popped from Mars.
Oh!
The right clicks with that classic will go ahead and secure.
Oh, he
that
finds
double.
3!
The ghost will confirm that third.
Well, okay, you want to get shotgun? Ask Mars. He knows how to do it. Apparently, he flashes, and I want you to know that flash would have hit absolutely no one, but he didn't know that. He was just confident in his right click. Got the 3-piece, picked up the ghost, and now they have a bit better economy to go into this next round, and they have bought in, as I expect you to. Oh, no, never mind. We've got a Bucky. Decided to opt not for a rifle. Maybe he wants to be a little bit more aggressive. We have a Judge. Okay, he's going to dash and absolutely barrel stuff someone. I can see it.
Absolutely. We love to see that happen over in ASL. There's nothing funnier to us and more heartbreaking to the players in the match than a Judge going ahead. And Lemon dashes in with the up drop, gets the one. There we go. Trout read the script, ladies and gentlemen. Knows exactly what's going to happen. Looking for a second, perhaps, as the aftershock goes through as well. Pushing through the smoke. Gets a second. Gets a third. Just like that. Last one went up towards Heaven. The dash through. And there's the elimination from Infinity. And clean round for the attackers.
I mean, that comes off the back of the pure aggression from Sukuna there. Judge in hand, dashes in, finds the first, right? That's a good enough pick. He doesn't only find the second, he finds the third as well. And that's what's so dangerous about having a decent Jet and or duelist on your team, especially one who knows how to play the smokes. And you spoke about how important the length of smoke time can be. I suppose in that instance, you're praying that the clove smokes are shorter than you think, because he was just lurking and he steps out at the perfect time. I assume no one from the side of Linden was, from Jaeger was slow walking, but now the rounds are just rolling over towards Linden as they actually have a stronger attacking comp. Bit of a change in pace here, and the Judge doesn't need to be put away as he can find another opener. That is the third first blood in a row.
I mean, that Judge just doing work in the hands of Sukuna right now. The aftershock coming through as well, and spotting out angles. The cloudburst goes down just for that bit of cover, but makes distance. Is Ramcat over there, knows the shotguns in hand. 3v3 situation. Your Chambermain now on that Jet.
Ooh.
Tries to go for that cloudburst at the wrong time. Valorant timing coming through, and Mars will get that final elimination on Ramcat as well, taking the score up to 10. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there. Plot twist. We accidentally had a mistake with the overlays. Jaeger is actually the team that has been winning. So a little bit of miscalculations on there. You know, PNGs are hard to name, ladies and gentlemen, especially when OBS, which is the streaming software, gives you issues here and there. So apologies on that. It has been Jaeger that has been winning so far. Linden on the score of 5 right now.
Okay, well, that is a severe change in pace there, as we've been talking down on the side of Jaeger, but in actuality, they are the team that looks brilliant on attack. Ramcat drawing the first blood, though. And we get to see the beautiful new Cyrax in action there, just on the ground as it's yet to be drawn blood. But here comes quick kills left, right, and center. Clove, and, well, it looks like the Jet finds another one, but the Jet on Jet action ends with Jet looking for another. Your Chambermain playing the wrong character, tapping where he can, getting a couple of damage down the lane. 2 versus 2, bomb now down. 6 health in a dream is the call. But the full rotation might just be the play he needs here to potentially get a good pinch in it. And I like this play. I know that they have a long route coming through, but at Cypher Trip actually doing the most, as now they know where at least one of the players are.
And it's what you mentioned earlier as well. You hit the demon shots, and then the easy ones you accidentally miss as Dawn swings on Partly Broken, who was trying to spam through that box, knew that one was behind there. Now it's just your Chambermain on that low 6 HP. You have to deal with 2. Missing those shots, a little bit shaky, and Dawn doing a fantastic job of strafing over there to prevent that headshot from happening. And False Radiant with that 11 HP will survive as the score gets taken up to 11 for the side of Jaeger.
So only 2 rounds away now from closing it out. And if momentum is anything to count on, it looks like this may be the last 2 rounds of the game, unless the side of Linden can sort of pull the rabbit out of the hat here. But I don't know, what would you do differently from them? Because it seems as though they are not able to deny site entry. And I think that is their biggest shortfall at the moment. No matter where the side of Jaeger wants to go in, they are getting in every time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They have a fantastic way of getting into site there. Again, I think it's what we were lacking, or what we weren't seeing, or what was lacking in Linden's push, is the fact that they push together. As we see over there, the quick elimination, checking corners. They're moving together. They're moving as one. The unity between them and the comms is very, very strong, that they can get that initial elimination, play off of each other, and then plant almost immediately, as we see right here. Shock darts going up to heaven to prevent a peek and maybe do some damage. The Chambermain in heaven right there, taking a few shots. Spots out many down sewers. I mean, it's a tough spot over there. Your head's fully exposed for False Radiant to get a headshot. And Ramcat lost alive now. Trying to do a little bit of peek shots, but now gets pushed by Mars, who was going for the knife. Gets the 1 elimination, but False Radiant over there to clutch it up, pushing that score up to 12. And you talk about momentum, Trout. They need this momentum for just 1 more round.
And they have good economy, and again, this is something that we need to look back at. If you are the coach for the side of Linden, tell your team to look at economy. They forced on the second last round. Now you're going into the potential last round with significantly worse weapons and on the back foot, because confidence-wise, you're not feeling very confident against a team that has steamrolled you since the start of this. They have yet to lose a single attacking round here. And I don't know, I think it's the small things that make the biggest difference. And at the moment, the small things are absolutely monumental for Jaeger because they are not making as many mistakes. You spoke about unity. You spoke about the team coercion as they go into the side. And that's exactly what they've done. Nice bit of denial here from a Ramcat. But the aggression and the Ferrari peaks just aren't there for his team as they are for the side of Jaeger. And again, site entry, no problem. There is a little bit of help there from the Jet ult. And here we go. Actual perfect play, not for longer than a second. Now it's down to 2 versus 3, and onto the site we go. 1v1. 1v2, excuse me.
The ult goes through, stunning the last player, and now checking every single corner, not checking towards B though. Scythe, last alive. Plant has not gone down yet. Still a chance. Goes for the shot, but does not connect on it. Dawn is that one tap right there, but cannot find that tap on Dawn as we watch Jaeger get the 13-5 victory in today's game.
Man, that is unfortunate. I don't know. I think that is a tough one, especially if you're in that 1v2 situation there. You know one of the players is Harpal that definitely would have been called out. And you give away your position so easily. It's just unfortunate. Having said that, Mars, fantastic game, 24-9. And your Chambermain, 15-15. You can just see from a slaying perspective, it's the side of Jaeger completely outfragging them, and that just translated. And they obviously outfragged them significantly more in the attacking rounds. And I sung the praises of a potential good defensive side for the side of Linden there with their comp, but they just weren't able to stop them from bullying their way onto the site.
Yeah, it was a tough one over there. Beautiful graphics, of course. Broadcast always making the most of all of these games that happen. This is ASL, man. This is where the mega stars in the making happen, as I like to put it out every single week, because this is the end of the week. That was the last game for today, and we will go ahead and continue with this next week, because remember, we do this every single week. We've got a total of 8 weeks for term number 2. You'll be seeing a lot of this beautiful face. If that's not convincing enough for you to come every single week, I don't know what is. Remember, if you want to get your schools signed up for ASL, we've had 180 schools sign up already this year, the 4th year of ASL. You can go to schools.acgl.gg, get through the processes. We want to see more of you guys get into this, because this is the stepping stone for everyone, for esports in South Africa. This is how it gets bigger. Some of these kids will be experiencing their first LAN later this year, which is what ASL has been working towards. AGC. We had one last year. It was an absolute blast. But next week is when the action will continue. Of course, more Fortnite, the Open Division, the Premier Divisions, more Valorant as well. If that is what tickles your fancy, you'll be seeing more of Chout, myself, Altruism, Nayori Mizuki, all of us over here on the ASL crew. Chout, any final thoughts before we end off?
Thank you very much for having me, and it was a blast casting with you. And hopefully my criticism hasn't been too harsh for the teams when they watch back on these VODs and maybe their coach goes through it. I hope I can add a little bit of wisdom to that. And I like what you said specifically about how this is a stepping stone for them. I think you have to look at it absolutely as the stepping stone, as there aren't very many paths to a good esports career in South Africa other than something as structured as ASL. I mean, I did a talk with my friend Daddy Cool over the weekend at Comic-Con, and we spoke about how to get into it. And this is a prime example of how to do it. So if you do want to get your school involved, or if you have somebody who has some kind of interest, not necessarily on the school side of things, but from an esports perspective, ACGL is absolutely the foremost stepping stone in the country, and they have lots of other games. It's not just what you see here. So be sure to go over and check out acgl.gg. But on that note, it was fantastic having you and myself on this. Thank you again. We'll see you guys all next week.